So I'm here. We're just gonna have a simple chat. Feel free to ask any questions. Um, we're just talking about nutrition, diets, and how to go about eating healthy while still eating the foods you like,
Yes, that's where I
right?
come in.
Yes. So, Amber, tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with nutrition. Everyone has a story.
Everyone has a story. Thanks for asking. For me, my story sounds a little cliche. Let me start off there, right? So it started when I was a young child. I wanted to be a medical doctor.
Okay.
And then my mom had a stroke when I was about 4 years old, I was turning five. And I wanted to be a medical doctor because I wanted to help her, right? I wanted to help people. And then along the way, I realized that I have a fascination with food. Now, I was always an athlete up until recent years, and I love to eat. So I'm like, how can I put these two together? Had that fascination. How can I use food to help people, improve their health? Like with my mom, could food, a lifestyle, help, reduce her risk of having that outcome and these things? So that was my fascination. I didn't get introduced to nutrition, however, until my first degree at UE. I went in to do biology, and they paired me up like a double major in agribusiness. And I was like, I don't know agribusiness. Then I got introduced to nutritional sciences, built from there, moved on to a second degree, went abroad and pursued my master's in public health and my registered dietitian training abroad. It was there that I realized, hey, what we have is really golden in the Caribbean in terms of the foods that we have, the diversity of nutrients and cultural foods that we have. And it's something that's often taken for granted. So that was where the birth of the cultural dietitian really happened. After my internship training, sort of seeing some of the gaps in the system and trying to, I wouldn't even say I was trying to fill it, I just felt really proud and very defensive of our culture. And that's what came about with me becoming the cultural dietitian. But my interest in health extended way back since I was like 4 years old. And I've just been health conscious ever since.
Got you. So,
Yes.
food. It's a huge part of our culture, and
Hmm.
I would also add it's a huge part of many cultures worldwide. So, for example, we know the beaches recently opened up. Um, they actually increased the hours.
Yeah.
People go to the beach, maybe they carry pilau. If they go in Maracas, maybe they go by Richards for bacon shark.
Hmm.
And these foods that we like, roti, of course, people
Yes.
put a roti curry. So you go to the beach, you carry these type of foods.
Yes.
And one of the first things people cut out when it comes to eating healthy, when they want to lose weight, I need to get rid of flour, I need to get rid of rice. And the
Yes.
foods I
Yeah.
mentioned, they have both these things, right? And it's a challenge for people
Hmm.
because that makes up what we eat on a daily basis.
Hmm.
How would you help somebody um, go about eating healthy while still getting to eat the foods that they
The
love
foods that
and
they love.
enjoy?
Okay. Let me flip it on you for a moment before I answer that question. As a trainer, what has been your experience with persons wanting to lose weight and then also kind of going on and off of these different diets? Like what's something that you've been able to observe in that regard?
All right, I actually had a conversation with a client actually today,
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm trying to give them more or less is a guide and coach
Mm-hmm.
them on how to use that guide.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily have them cut these foods out totally. So we look
Mm-hmm.
at their portion sizes, we look at how the food is prepared, and you know, being more intentional about when they eat these foods, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of some of the main things I do to help
Mm-hmm.
people. So it's not a hard and fast. If it's a hard and
Mm-hmm.
fast, it's just for a temporary period of time.
Right. And you being one of the rare ones out there, because most times you find that many of my clients will come to me having been tired of dieting, tired of having to avoid foods for a long period of time, because that type of restriction is very difficult to maintain. And in particular, it's not based on like anything that we do here. It's also very misinformed. So you have persons feeling as though, well, I can't enjoy my cultural foods. I can't eat certain foods because, hey, they're not healthy. Absolutely untrue. These foods can fit. Now, in terms of how I help people, the first thing I tell them is all foods are welcome. It's strange because they're so accustomed to like, but I was told I need to eat 1,200 calories and I can't eat flour and I can't and I can't and I can't. And I'm like, no, when you understand the psychological impact of that, like nutrition is never just the food in front of you. There's so many things that go into food. Food is about socialization. Food is about culture and history. Food is about emotions. There's so many things that go into food. And you can't ignore that just to say, well, you have to, you have to, and have to. It falls apart, right? So I help my clients to realize, listen, all foods are accessible. Unless you have a food allergy or maybe you don't like something, fine, but they're all accessible to you. What that does is over time, it helps them to take food off of this pedestal. Because dieting has put food on the spot. Oh my gosh, chocolate, you can have that way up here, right? And if you do it, it's a bad thing and it makes you a bad person. So you find that people struggle now with morality issues. I don't have discipline. I am sloppy. I just can't get my life right because I eat this particular food. So the first things first, give yourself that access mentally and literally physically to understand that this is here. It's going to be here. Like, I don't know if, like, when I was studying for exams in primary school, my mom used to be like, the TV will be there, When you finish exams, TV there. You understand? So it's the same concept of these foods are going to be there. And there's no rush, but the rush is created because Monday come in and I have to be good. So I can't have it. The weekend is my free time and then I'm going to be so good in the week. Give yourself that access and then realize it's there. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be there. Secondly, you're not a bad person for eating certain foods. You're definitely not bad or wrong for enjoying your cultural foods, as we've mentioned. We just have to learn the how, the why, and the how of, okay, which foods am I including, how much and why, what, underlying medical conditions I may have that I need to be conscious of, and how these things impact that. But understanding that if you're pursuing weight loss, you can absolutely pursue weight loss and enjoy a complement of foods and not have to restrict yourself in that way. But it's very difficult for persons to adapt to because they're accustomed to having to eat very little and cut out a lot of food groups, which you naturally starve your body. The tricky thing with that as well, like I was doing a plan for a client today, and she's like, that's so much more calories than I've ever been allowed to eat an adult. And I'm like, yeah, because if you drop your calories too low, your body adapts.
Correct.
So it makes it even more difficult to lose weight, one, and then to lose weight moving forward. What are you going to do? Eat 1,000 calories a day to lose weight? Like, life is not, it's not that serious. You can absolutely enjoy more flexibility with food. Learning your portions, learning how to combine foods is a very powerful thing, and being able to find pleasure in eating again and take away that morality of being, of it being negative to have certain foods on your plate and in your home.
Correct. You mentioned something. History. Food is also history, and I remember
Food is history.
being a teenager, and every Friday I meet up with a partner of mine, and we go for doubles, and then we go for the arcade to the arcade.
Yeah.
And every Friday, no, doubles isn't something I would eat as regular as that,
Mm-hmm.
once a week. And even recently, I actually made that doubles channel. It was homemade, so tasted very similar to doubles. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something people could always do. Find the stuff that they like
Yes.
and prepare, um, maybe in a healthy way
Mm-hmm.
because what ingredients go in it, right? Um, I know as it relates to food, when it comes to training, people emphasize protein, getting protein, and because you need to build your muscle, but
Mm-hmm.
fiber. Most people
Yes.
usually lack fiber.
Fiber.
So
Yes.
protein. What would you say are some things, or as well as some foods that people can eat, and also what can they do to get more fiber within their diet?
Okay. So just to elaborate, I Denise, I see that you're listening. But yes, so dietary fiber is one of those things that we tend to miss out on simply because it comes from the cliche foods. And I like to say cliche now because you'll hear someone say, eat more fruits and vegetables to be healthy. And it cannot be, something that is ignored. When you think of dietary fiber, it serves a major purpose. So some people may think of it helping to lower cholesterol. Yes, it also helps to support proper bowel movement so that you go to the bathroom and poop every day. It helps, it just helps with hormonal balance because any excess cholesterol, any excess hormones that are circulating there, the cholesterol tends to get rid of it in that sense, right? Now, when you think of food sources of fiber, your non-starchy vegetables are it. So you think of you want to do some callaloo bhaji, spinach, any pachoy, watercress, any non-starchy. A variety of those would be ideal. You also think of whole grain foods, so persons who may enjoy brown rice or whole grain bread or your ground provisions are going to be an excellent source of fiber as well. That is one thing we tend to not have a good enough understanding of, is the value that comes from the ground provisions. So dasheen is going to be high in fiber, cassava, sweet potato, all of these things are good sources of fiber as well. You think of oatmeal. I think oatmeal is one that a lot of people would be able to relate to, like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good for cholesterol. You think of those, you think of the nuts and seeds. So being able to add chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, a variety of those also add some fiber to your diet. Peas and beans. We love peas and beans here in the Caribbean. So all of those, you could just think of the skin that's coming off of them. That is like roughage. That's going to
Yes.
kind of just pass through the system undigested. So you get some more peas and beans into your diet. What happens is people tend to think of only having to increase like non-starchy vegetables, and that may be difficult to do. But there
Yeah.
are other sources. So you think of the ground provisions, the peas and beans, or the legumes, the nuts and seeds, and different whole grain varieties of cereals and grains. And you a combination of those throughout the day. So don't feel like you have to sit and eat a big salad to get your vegetables or your fiber in. It's variety.
You mentioned, the greens. So, for example,
Hmm.
dashing bush. Someone asked me if callaloo is good for you, right? I guess it's because, sometimes it's made rich. It might have a lot of, I know some people would add golden ray.
Hmm.
But callaloo is pretty healthy once you prepare it the right way. So that as well as portion sizes,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
coconut milk. What's your take on that? So, for example, callaloo as it relates to it being unhealthy, what would you say?
That is so interesting. I don't think I've heard. Actually, yes, I've heard some concerns about adding coconut milk to callaloo. Now, when you think of nutrition or your diet, right, you can't just pinpoint a specific food. You have to look at the overall pattern. So, for instance, a lot of people think, well, I'm adding one thing to my current lifestyle and it's supposed to fix everything. That's not how it works. So, the same way you can't identify, even if you make callaloo without, I add coconut milk, even if you add coconut milk, or I'm not so much of the fan of adding certain butters to it, but even if you did, but the rest of your overall diet is well balanced, that's not going to be much of an issue. So we have to look at the overall, what it is you're doing across the board. Are you adding a lot of salt to everything? Are you adding a lot of fat to everything? You have to look at it across the board. So if you kept callaloo the way that it is, what you remove adding salt to, like, when people boil in pasta, they add salt, and they add salt when you boil in rice, and you stop doing those things, then you sort of find the balance there. But in terms of the callaloo itself, there is a way to avoid adding some of the extra golden ray and the high saturated fat and the extra salts and these things to make it something that's more comfortably fitting within your diet. In particular, persons who may have high blood pressure or diabetes would want to be mindful of those added saturated fats. But yeah, it's definitely something you have to look at the whole and don't just try to pinpoint one specific food or meal as being an issue.
But yeah,
Hmm.
um, I know we recently came off from the Christmas holidays. Some people would have taken vacation
Hmm.
during that time. They'd have gone crazy with eating. It's a time when most people usually eat a lot. Also, another time when that people usually go a little crazy or they go off track is when they go on vacation, right? So let's say someone is going on vacation. They've been pretty consistent with their nutrition, eating their workouts, but they're going on vacation. So they're going from a controlled environment to a less controlled environment, especially if they're traveling or, they're going to another country. What would you recommend for people who want to stay on track even while they're on vacation?
It's just about taking over the same principles that you would have applied when you were at home. It's the same concept. My approach to nutrition is usually like an 80-20. Most of the times you're eating nutritious food. Some of the times you give yourself flexibility to enjoy those things. So even when you're on vacation, you think about having a nice balanced breakfast and making sure you're getting some vegetables in there, getting the protein as you would have mentioned, sort of savoring the moment, sitting and really eating and being present, enjoying the fruits, exploring some of the local foods as well. But you don't feel, I think sometimes the concept of vacation eating can be exaggerated in terms of, well, I have to get all of this in. Again, because of that diet and restriction of, well, when I go back home, I have to get back to being right. I have to, pull myself together. So now is the time for me to do it. No, if you just see it like, oh, it's another opportunity to enjoy a different cuisine or maybe explore something new, try different things, but you just carry over those same principles. And then even if you felt like you overdid it, it's like, it's all right. I just keep moving on. That's a major philosophy of mine is that it happened, you learn from it, and you keep moving forward because the time is going to take for you to sit and like pine over what happened and bring it into a personal thing of you being good or bad. It takes you down a really dangerous spiral of you actually being able to pursue the goals that you have. But you just kind of approach it like, all right, so it's an opportunity to explore. And I'm going to look at my meal, see how it's balanced, enjoy what is in front of me, understand that I don't have to eat way past fullness. I can, eat, feel satisfied and stop. It doesn't mean like it's a free for all because I'm on vacation. So again, but that comes in with you working on that mindset around what it means to have access to certain foods. If you have access and you give yourself that access upfront, going on vacation is not going to be that special, that key to like overdoing it, overeating in that time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And just bringing it home, just wrapping up here. I believe one of the reasons people struggle to eat healthy is because of their lack of planning or lack of preparation. So on a daily basis, let's say you don't cook when you're out and about, you just come and eat whatever you feel like. So it's kind of like you're on the seafood diet, S-E-E-C.
Seafood, see it and you eat it.
Right? So as it relates to meal planning and preparation, what would you recommend to someone to get started with meal prepping and meal planning so that they know what they're going to eat, let's say on a weekly basis?
So the first thing first is to fix the rest of your schedule. It may sound like it's taking a step further back, but to get time or to create time to be able to meal plan and meal prep, you need to ensure that you actually have, you're creating that time outside of your regular busy schedule. Some people be like, I'm too busy. But if you really look at your schedule, it's like, oh, I can create that time. I can probably multitask watching Netflix and meal prepping. But you start by looking at what do you have? That's one of the best ways is like, what do I have currently? What can I use? What do I need to top up instead of thinking like I need to get all of these new things? Because sometimes that can feel overwhelming. You want to start meal planning or meal prepping and feel like I have to get everything brand new because it's a new thing, right? But you just look and say, well, what do I have and how can I use this? And maybe get a couple additional things to add to it. What do I think I may, depending on your schedule, if you're cooking for 2 days, 3 days, who you're cooking for, if it's you, if it's your family, different things that they like, you may want to prepare, you may want to be able to prepare a couple options. So let's say, for example, maybe you're cooking rice as the main staple, and then you want to do maybe some stir-fried vegetables and a fresh salad, and then probably some baked chicken and baked fish. So that you get variety and you don't, some people get tired of eating the same thing over and over again, which makes sense. Yeah, so you get some like, you don't have to go through the same thing. You could do some with the fresh salad and fish and then some with the the baked chicken and stir fry veg, and it's just to give you some variety. But start with what you have, and then look on to see what can I add, what am I feeling for, what do I think I want to try, what do I need to have in place for that. Am I able to cook every day? If I meal, like if I just pre-chop the items, or do I want to cook and freeze, cook and place in the refrigerator? So it really depends on what's going to work for you and your living situation. You want to be able to consider as well uh, if you have the containers to prepackage it in, or if you're going to, as I said, kind of dish it out. It does help even if you're working from home. I think this is one thing we've been taking for granted, is that I'm working from home, so I could just go downstairs or go outside and get something. You still want to have certain things packed. You want to have snacks packed as well. You want to be able to think. Sometimes we think of lunch and dinner when we meal prepping. We forget breakfast and snacks. So you want to consider breakfast as well. Maybe something like an overnight oats might be a quick grab and go for you. Having certain snacks and on hand that can support you, because you will find you get busy, maybe you feel tired, and you don't want to go a long time without eating until you get hungry. Or if you're skipping meals and then you are getting these intense food cravings, and then you don't want anything healthy, because you don't crave healthy things typically, right?
Yeah.
So, or healthier things at that moment. So you just want to make sure that you have certain things in place and on hand. If you can't get the meals done yet, start with the snacks. And start with the combination of snacks that you have, trail mix, some yogurt and nuts, different little snacks that you can have on hand. And then you work your way up to prepping one meal, prepping two meals, and seeing what feels most comfortable for you. But don't try to do what everyone else is doing. Do what is going to work for you. That is how it's going to last. And that's how you're going to build a sustainable pattern.
Correct. Do what is going to work for you, and do it so that you can sustain it. So we're just about done here. Is there anything you want to leave with the listening audience, Amber? One last thing.
Of course. Listen, the cultural foods are not bad. Absolutely feel free to explore them more often. Become curious about your cultural foods. Understand why, and understand that they serve a greater purpose than just being this negative thing. And just continually seek balance and see how it is, you're really going to be able to incorporate some of these things. Seek out persons who you are aligned with. So if you want to integrate your cultural foods, you come to me. You want some trainers, I could recommend some trainers in addition to Kian, who are someone who's not going to tell you just eat 1,200 calories. And, you want to be sure that you're aligning yourself in a way that you are going to get the appropriate support for the goals that you have. So keep it all in balance.
Correct. So, Amber, it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yes, thank you. You brought me out of my shell. This is my first live of the year, so got me out of my shell.
That's good.
My pandemic shell. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So thanks for having me, and we should do another one soon. I see some people are now coming on. We might need to do a later one next time.
Yeah, we'll do one at a later time.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Ian.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.